He read your old messages at 2 a.m. and finally broke down crying. While the rest of the world was sleeping, he was sitting alone in a dark room, staring at a phone screen. The same phone he once used to ignore your messages, the same phone he once used to leave your voice unread for hours, the same phone that now held memories he could not escape. And what happened that night was something he never expected. He was not looking for you, at least that is what he told himself. He had already picked up his phone because he could not sleep. His life was not going the way he imagined it would after he left. The excitement he once chased for had faded. The people he thought would always be around were busy living their own lives with their own families. The noise was gone. All that was left was silent. As he scrolled through old photos and conversation, he accidentally found your message. For a moment, he hesitated, then he opened it. The first message he saw was simple. Have you eaten today? Nothing special, just few words, but those words hit him harder than he expected because nobody had asked him that question in a very long time. He kept scrolling. There was another message. Drive safely, my love. Let me know when you get there. Then another. I know things are difficult right now, but I believe in you. Then another one. Don't worry about us. We will get through this together. His chest tightened. For years, he convinced himself that what you gave him was ordinary. At 2 a.m., he finally realized it was not ordinary at all. It was not easy. It was not rare to find. It was love. It was real love, genuine care. The kind of love that stays when life is hard. The kind of love that worries about you when nobody is watching. The kind of love that asks nothing in return. He sat there, staring at the screen, message after message, memory after memory. And suddenly he saw something he had refused to see before. Every conversation was filled with your effort, your patience, your support, your forgiveness. Even during the times when he was distant, even during the times when he was rude, even during the times when he had made you feel unwanted, you kept trying. You kept fighting for something he had slowly given up on already. The realization made him sick because for the first time he was not remembering the relationship from his side. He was seeing it from your side. He remembered the nights you stayed awake waiting for him to come home. He remembered the times you asked if everything was okay and he brushed you off. He remembered the tears in your eyes during conversation he was too selfish to take serious. Back then he thought you would always be there. He thought your love was permanent. He thought he had unlimited chances. Now he understood how wrong he had been. The clock moved as past 2:30 a.m. He kept scrolling. Then he found a message he had completely forgotten. It was from a day when he had failed at something important. You wrote, I know you were disappointed, but one bad day doesn't define who you are. He stared at the words. Nobody spoke to him like that anymore. Nobody encouraged him like that anymore. Nobody sees the good in him the way you did. His eyes filled with tears, not because he was lonely, not because he wanted sympathy, but because he finally understood the value of what he had thrown away. Meanwhile, your life had moved forward. The woman who once cried himself who once cried herself to sleep because of him was no longer the same person. You had healed, you had rebuilt yourself, you had stopped waiting for explanation, you had stopped hoping he would suddenly understand your word, and that was the part that hurt him the most. Not that you hated him, not that you wanted revenge, but you no longer needed him. While he was sitting in the dark reading old messages, you were living a life that no longer revolved around his choices. That truth was impossible to ignore. Around 3 a.m., he reached out of the last conversation you had before everything ended. You had written something simple. I hope one day you understand how much I loved you. When he first received that message, he barely thought about it. Now it feels like a knife because he finally understood. Not when you were there, not when you were fighting for the relationship, not when you were begging to be heard. Years later, alone, too late, he placed the phone down and covered his face. The tears came without warning. Real tears. The kind that comes from regret, the kind that comes from excuses, the kind that comes when excuses stops, the kind that comes when a person is forced to face the truth. He cried because he remembered how easily he walked away. He cried because he remembered how confidently he believed he would find something better. He cried because he remembered every warning he ignored. Most of all, he cried because he realized you were never asking for too much. You were only asking to be loved the same way you loved him. For the first time, he understood that losing you was not bad luck. It was a consequence of taking loyalty for granted, a consequence of ignoring the person who cared about you, a consequence of believing that genuine love would always be waiting. The sun started rising outside his window. The night was over, but the regret remained. And while he sat there carrying the weight of memories he could never change, you were somewhere else enjoying the peace you fought for so hard to find. That became the lesson he could never escape. Sometimes the person who believes they have won. Sometimes they think they are walking towards something better. But years later, when the excitement fades and the truth settles in, they discover something painful. The greatest loss was never yours, it was theirs. Because by the time he finally understood the value of your love, your life had already learned how to shine without him. You had learned how to put on the light without waiting for him. You had learned how to drive on the road without waiting for his direction. So, I love you so much. Thank you for staying by. Thank you for watching.